Today, Cam Richards joins the podcast. Cam's journey of being a professional surfer from Garden City, South Carolina is nothing short of extraordinary. Cam gets candid about his family dynamics, competing, and his unique relationship with Pipeline. He dives into what it means to represent the East Coast and South Carolina on the global surfing stage. Plus, we chat about his upcoming film that he has been working on for over a year. So keep a lookout for us to announce some upcoming premiere dates. This is the 96 Wave Podcast, Season 2, Episode 1, featuring Cam Richards. Enjoy. Mountains to Sea is a boutique fitness and wellness retreat center boasting eco-luxury villas that are also available for vacation rentals. Located in the southern zone of Costa Rica in the mountains above Playa Dominical. 19 private acres surrounded by lush jungle and breathtaking views. On site, there are 2 villas, a saltwater pool, a second-story open-air fitness oasis, hiking trails, beautiful tropical landscaping, and plenty of places to relax, unplug, and take it all in. A 15 to 20-minute scenic drive gets you to the closest beach. The area is known for world-class surf, some of the most breathtaking waterfalls in the country, miles of beaches, national parks, and scenic rivers. I had the pleasure of being one of the first guests last summer. Matt and Megan have Dominical dialed, so we were able to surf some really fun waves and eat delicious food. The attention to detail in the villas are incredible. This was a perfect place to train, surf, and reset. Check out mountainstoseacostarica.com or follow them on Instagram to book a stay or see any of the upcoming retreats. McKevlin Surf Shop. Quality surf since 1965. Come by the shop to see a piece of East Coast surf history, as well as a vast array of new brands, new designs, and new and used surfboards. They just released the latest beach project merch, including t-shirts, long sleeve tees, hats, and a nice fleece sweater and hoodie. McKevlin's donates 20% of these sales from the Beach Project to empower local nonprofit organizations who invest in helping keep the beaches and waterways clean to fight for preserving our beautiful ecosystems. Really rad designs created by artist Chris Kemp so you can look good while doing good. McKevlin's has been a longtime supporter of us, our films, and now with the podcast. Visit McKevlins.com or visit them at 8th Center Street, Folly Beach, where wax is always $1. So when we started this channel, you were definitely a bucket list, like top of the list. So thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Well, I was always a fan of you guys when I was a Grom. I'll never forget being on the beach on the Outer Banks. And it was this day these little rights were running down the beach. Everyone was out, Benny B. And you guys were filming, and I remember my dad went up to, I think it was you, and was like, hey man, like, do you think you could film my son Cam every once in a while? I'll never forget that. And I was always just like, remember I was so stoked on you guys. I was like, that's so sick. Yeah. They're like top tier video guys. They're from South Carolina. I'm like, I know I'm too young right now, but like I'm going to get to them.
Dude, so that was like that second question. I was going to tell the same story. And my thing was like, I regret it. So your dad asked, but I was already supposed to film.
I think you're filming
Dunphy and that whole crew for the rest of the month.
Yeah.
But I was like, 2 South Carolina kids totally should have.
Dude, we could have taken over the world.
I know. We totally should. Like, we could have made cool edits.
Yeah. It's not too late, man. It's not too late.
That's.
Yep.
That's
why we're here.
Yeah, I would love to do that.
Yeah.
So that's funny that you brought that up. Mm-hmm. Speaking 2 kids from South Carolina, though, at some point, like, what was a turning point that you were like, I need to get out of South Carolina to be able to pursue this?
Yeah, so, I mean, born and raised in Myrtle's Inlet. And kind of what happened was going to high school, everything was good. I was making all A's and B's, so my school was pretty lenient with me, how much days I missed. But kind of what happened, and I would do well on the East Coast. I'd, win the regionals or whatnot, win the South Carolina state championships. I'm thinking I'm the shit. But then I'd go out to California, me and my brother, and we would just get so waxed. And it took like 3 years of going out there, like finally making some heats and whatnot. And then it was just back when, like, if you weren't at lowers every day or if you weren't surfing Newport when the waves were good, like, kind of like were just slowly falling off the map. Like that was like where the industry was, where everything was. And so I was probably 17 or 18, and I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna go out there, like might as well. I had pretty much at this point all my friends lived out there as far as like surfers go. It was always hard for me to keep friendships during high school. Like had obviously great friends and I loved everybody, but like they would get kind of frustrated because like I would just leave for like 3 months and like not talk to them. But like it's not because I didn't want to talk to them. I was just like, I don't know, surfing or doing whatnot. And so yeah, that was always kind of hard. And then so I was like, okay, like let's just go try it out there. And obviously I love surfing, like, and so I was like, if I want to surf, I kind of have to go there. I mean, you can't surf every day in South Carolina. That's kind of the hardest part. But yeah, then so I moved out there. I think I was 17 years old.
Nice. And so did you like have to actually move, or would you just spend a lot of time, or were you like, I'm moving there?
It was a pretty much I'm moving there thing. It was like started spending some time, and then finally called my dad, and I'm like, hey, let's get my truck out here. Like this is where I need to be. Like it was becoming very obvious. I began to get, love on Surfline. I would surf lowers and blah, blah, blah. Like, so it was just like kind of falling into place. And like I said, it goes back to my friends were there. It was all people that I could relate to. We all could talk about the same things that we like to talk about. It was hard for me to talk to my buddy about his football game because I didn't know anything about it and I sucked at football. Yeah. So all that stuff was kind of difficult, and it was one of those things, just kind of had to take the leap of faith, and just, it wasn't too big of a move because, like I said, my life was already starting there at a young age, like as far as all my friends. That's the cool thing about surfing. I mean, it doesn't matter where you're from. You can be best friends with somebody, even if you're on the other side of the world. Yeah. So
what do you think then drove you the most during that time to want to be a professional surfer? Was it just because you felt like you had the talent? Because I know your dad was a big part of that, but he wasn't probably saying you have to be a pro surfer.
Yeah, no, my dad was very cool. I think there was probably one time he tried to like kind of coach me a little bit, and now I was so hard-headed as a young kid. Would hate to listen to anybody, and that probably hurt me a lot, but it was just something I couldn't get rid of. But anyways, my dad, we were at a Volcom contest in the Outer Banks. Waves were firing, and I paddled out like way down the beach away from everyone else. I've always liked to do that. But I'm sitting out there and everyone's down the beach getting barrels. They're getting 7s, 8s, whatever. I'm just sitting out there like a duck. My dad's on the beach. He finally begins to like yell at me for the first time. He's like on the beach yelling, hey, I'm like waving me down. And it just made me even more mad. So I just sat there. There's about 3 minutes left. One set comes in. I get a 10. I paddle back out, get another wave, get barrel, do 3 turns. Get like a 9.5, and I came back in. My dad goes, "I'll never say anything again, man." But no, we had such a good relationship. And then my brother was so good at competing, like just, textbook. He wouldn't make a mistake. So my dad would always say, he goes, "Man, if I had your skill and Cole's brain, I'd have the best surfer in the world." I
was gonna bring up Cole too, because that's another thing we have in common is we're both younger brothers and like a surf family. He's obviously got to be a huge reason you wanted to pursue surfing and get better.
100%. I mean, we were always, I wouldn't say we were ever pushing each other, but like he was always like guiding me. And then like, I don't know, as a little brother, you kind of got fired up to get better than the older brother. And so I think that really helped. But no, it was so fun having him. And he's still surfing. He still surfs amazing. And it's funny because he kind of stopped competing and stopped surfing at the time of like, if you could do an air reverse, you're getting 8 points easy. Didn't matter how big it was, how little it was. My brother could never do one. I mean, he could do them, but not like consistent, like your Evan Geiselmans and all these other people. So my brother actually, he won the NSSA Easterns against Evan, our buddy Noah, and Keto, like a gnarly open men's final. And at the time, that's the biggest thing you could do in the amateur career. And when we were driving home, me, my dad, my brother, I was like, yeah, I think I'm good. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just not, I'm not being fulfilled. And I'm like, and he was just like kind of having trouble at times. But I say that if he surfed the same now, with the way the competition world is now, it's like to get a good score doing an air, you got to go like movie part. Yeah. And now it's like if you do 2 turns, you're getting a higher score. Yeah. I'm like, I swear my brother could have qualified, no doubt. Like, but yeah, it was always fun to have him pushing me, and we just had such a good life, and we were so lucky to have each other.
Yeah.
Me, him, my dad, my mom. I mean, traveled up and down the East Coast. Like, had the dream as a young kid for sure.
Yeah. And that's a really good point. Easterns is also where I hung up my career.
Nice.
It's kind of the make or break.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those things. That's another subject we can get into. It's like, so obviously it's hard to accept, like, maybe surfing isn't the thing to do, or, you know, and that's what happened to me and my brother. I mean, like I said, we thought we were, you know, really good, and then we went out to California. It was just a wake-up call, and then it's just, yeah, I mean, surfing is one of the hardest sports in the world, and it's something that, like, I don't want people to ever get, like, hard on themselves, because it's like, I don't know, it's a lot of luck. It's a lot of just, like, what your relationship is with Mother Nature, and I don't know, it's a crazy sport, and it's like, as much as, yes, it is my job, but, like, also it's like, I don't know, it's kind of hard to look at it as a job. You just have to enjoy it and take it for what it is. It's about the traveling, it's about the friends, it's about the experience. Like,
yeah. Because then it probably doesn't feel like a job when you're in the Outer Banks just surfing with your friends.
You'd be surprised.
Does it?
Yeah, it's like, no, of course not. You have those sessions. But what people don't see, and not like I do not want to.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for surfing. I think it's the best job in the world. But it can be stressful. It can be frustrating. I mean, that session that you had with your friends, that took sitting on your phone for hours trying to see if you should make the drive up there. Then when you're there, you drive to every single sandbar. You're looking at this one. You run across this dune. You run across that dune. You finally find one spot. Then 5 cars pull up behind you. And now it's crowded. So you leave, and, like, it can be very frustrating, and it's hard to, like, have those sessions of, like, this is awesome. This is me and my boys. We're having a good time, and it's all for fun. And then on the other end of that is, like, yes, it is fun, but also that is my job, is to go up there and create content and, you know, get clips and all that stuff. As much as sometimes I wish I could just go, but it's like, you know, it's this is why I'm a professional surfer. I have to give the sponsors the footage and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, it's always fun, but it is a job for me. And but like I said, I don't want to make it sound like I'm not thankful for it, because I am, but also I want people to see, like, there is another side to it that a lot of people don't understand, and not a lot of people will ever understand, and I get that. It's just like, I've been in it for so long, so it's like, it can be stressful. I mean, you always think you're making the wrong call. You're sitting somewhere in the Outer Banks at a sandbar, and you're like, I bet you Brett's at the better spot. I bet you he's going to get the clip that gets posted on Surfline, or he's going to get the stab, like, photo. And it's like, it's so weird to, like, have to operate like that. But
that makes a ton of sense.
We have a small task we get asked to do, and so we got to try to do our best.
That makes a ton of sense. If I feel like the pressure, I'm not in the spot, then it's like 10
everyone
times.
does. And that's why you see, I mean, you can pull over on the side of the road, and as long as you got surfboards hanging out, people are going to pull over right behind you and see what you're up to. And it's just funny, because, like, I do my best to always try to surf alone. And I do my best to try to stay away from Brett, because, like, and I love Brett, but he's working. You know, this is his job. He has to get footage. He has to do everything. I'm like, I don't want to go take his waves. Like, you know, I want him to, you know, do, like, because if he's making a career, then, and if he's getting the content, then we get to watch him surf. We get to see what boards are looking good. You know, he does all the board. Like, that's what some people don't realize. Like, look, he's working. Like, let him just do it, because you enjoy watching his videos, don't you? But I also do agree, like, it is fun to surf with your heroes. Like, so it's like, it's such a weird fine line, I think. But as long as you respect and just, like, kind of sometimes think about that, like, okay, this guy's working, and I want to respect that. I want him to get as much footage as he can get, and I'm just stoked to be there and watch. So, yeah, it's funny. It can be a job, but at the end of the day, it is amazing, and you kind of don't think of it until, like, especially, like, you think about it before, but then once you're doing it, you're like, this ain't too bad, is it?
Nice. So, to that point, like, you do seem like you're super family oriented, and coming home is important to you. Is fishing at home, like, where you get recharged? Yeah,
I think just being home in general. It's like, because I did miss out on a big part of my life. Like, as far as like end of high school. You know, I never went to prom. I never did any of that stuff as much as I wanted to, but I just wasn't there. And, you know, just being around the family, and my dad and my brother have such a good relationship. They're together all the time. And so when I come into town, it is fun to be with them, and, you know, we'll go fishing and like get to do the stuff they get to do every day. It's just, I'm just a little bit too, I don't know, I always have to kind of be moving.
Yeah.
But I do love being home for a little bit, and it's fun. Just honestly, some of my favorite days at home is waking up, going and watching my dad at his glassing his boards or shaping his boards, and watching him get frustrated because the resin isn't kicking. Like, I don't know. It's just like, it's fun to see him work, and like, it's just like the older I get, the more I realize like, wow, like you worked your ass off and you are here now, and it's incredible. Like, a guy from Arkansas, like he moved to South Carolina when he was like 12 or 13.
Okay.
But, you know, just started from nothing, and now he's one of the most famous East Coast shapers, and our surf shop is well known across the world, and it's just cool to see. It's such an inspiration, and it like sometimes make me feel bad because I'm like, I should be in there shaping or whatnot, but like, I don't know. It's fun just to watch him and, you know, just see the way that people look up to him, and to like watch him make a little kid's day when they walk into the surf shop and pick up their new custom board, and just like all that stuff is like, you know, this place is pretty cool, and like I'm super lucky to have such a good family, and it's been insane.
I mean, that was my next point for sure, is Village and Kelly Richards' names are like synonymous with South Carolina.
Yeah, no, he's done such a good job at like, the one thing I give my dad the most credit is that, not obviously I didn't realize when I was younger, but now that I'm getting older, this amount of stuff he did for people and asking for absolutely nothing in return is such a trait that like you don't see much anymore, unfortunately. It's a lot of like, what can I do to help you that you'll help me?
Yeah.
He didn't care. I mean, he would pile a van with 8 kids that he barely even knew, take them to Wrightsville to do some surf contest, pay for all their food, whatnot. You know, it didn't matter. My dad was like, yeah, if you want to do this, like, come on. Like, as long as you're respectful, as long as like you, like, I don't know, just be a good kid, and I'll take you wherever you want to go. I mean, my dad made so many kids' lives and childhoods by just like taking them up and down the East Coast to surf. And so that was like one of the coolest things learning now is like, I mean, how much work he put into us as like growing up, like to have a surf career. Such a hard thing to do. I mean, we would go to school and we'd get off school around 2-3 o'clock, and he'd have the truck packed, and we'd have to drive to Florida to do an SSA. Yeah. We're done on Sunday. We got to be at school on Monday. He drove through the night, you know, like it didn't matter.
And he had a business.
Yeah, and he also had a business. And here I am just sitting in the back eating chips, like, oh, like, get me home, Dad, you know, just being a punk. And then now I'm like, how did you do this? Like, but it's because he just loved it. And he didn't want anything in return. And he just happy to do it. And even my dad now, like, you can still see it. Like, he just loves showing people things.
Cool.
I mean, if I have a friend come into town, had a friend, Eric Knutson, come into town. He does a lot of John John's filming. He's just like, hey, can I come check out South Carolina? I've never seen it. I'm like, sure, if you want. I mean, my dad just had a blast. And he was just like, oh, look at this, look at that. And you could just tell, like, man, he just loves to, you know, do things for other people. He doesn't really care what he's doing for himself, and he doesn't care what someone's doing for him. He just, I've tried to be like him, and it's hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard. Like, it's just, even still, he still does so much for me, like, just random miscellaneous things, and then I, like, realize, I'm like, man, this guy just doesn't stop, and he's always happy, but it's gotten to where he is now, and a lot of people do respect it and do know it. But, like, I don't think people know, like, truly how deep it does go, and, like, how it's literally just for the love of it, which is, like I said, a hard trait to find.
Is it more that he is, like, is it because he loves surfing so much, or he more so is just, like, that type of person?
I don't know. He does love surfing. I mean, he loves it more than anything. He has watched my videos more than probably more than the views on the video. He's probably watched it more.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, he does love surfing. But also, I think it's just his character. I think because he does it for people not even in the surf world. I mean, like I said, if you know my dad, if you've ever met him, he's probably told you to go grab a T-shirt at Village Surf Shop. Like, on me, I'm gonna give you this, I'll give you that. So it's like, I think it's just him. And then the love for surfing is just on top of it.
So was that whole package, y'all's crew and kids all riding Perfection surfboards?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. One of my dad's claim to fame, he believes, and I agree, Perfection Surfboards probably has the most East Coast titles, like, of any other surfboard. Because when we were younger, my brother, myself, Tony Savani, Stevie Pittman, Luke Gordon, Micah Canner, all these kids riding our boards, and we would leave ECSC with 5 trophies. You know, Tony would win the longboard. My brother one year won the longboard, open men's, and boys. Then, like, you know, like, so I think he's probably spot on. Yeah. Like, it was pretty crazy at a time. I mean, every young kid rode a Perfection that was like competing, but it was also, they rode them for the board, but then I think they also rode them for the family. Like, you know, it was just like, it was fun. You wanted to hang out with KR. Yeah. I mean, that's the guy you wanted to be with. That's who everyone loves. So he definitely paved the way for a lot of young kids, and I don't think he would change it for anything.
I mean, it had to have a huge impact because the crop of talent is like one thing us from Charleston always looked at is everyone from Myrtle. I mean, there's a lot of talent.
Definitely against all odds, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was the fact of people pushing each other. And like I said, we had such a good community. We had like our ESA, like the people who ran it, Denny and Terry Green. Like, every event was so much fun. And like everyone was together. You know, like I said, my dad probably did shape almost everyone's boards on the beach. And like, there was no drama. And it was just a bunch of people going out, having a good time on the beach. And then that would transfer over to the normal weekends. And yeah, I think that was like one of the main things that we had that I think helped out a lot of kids was just like, they wanted to be a part of it. Like, you know, they'd come down for a contest on the weekend and everyone would have such a good time. And this guy would be surfing and then the kids would go home like, I want to do that every weekend. Like, that was fun. And so I think that just kind of trickled down. And
do you think your talent and that whole cruise, like, because Charleston, Myrtle, similar, I mean, same coastline, but were you just that much closer to Wrightsville or something that you could
maybe, but I don't know. Honestly, there is a theory that maybe it's because our waves are so bad. Yeah. I mean, you guys get waves, like, pretty proper, like, pretty fun. We don't get, like, I mean, yes, it can get fun, but like, you guys will have days that's like, oh, this is a surf trip, like, this is fun. We don't get that. Okay. So maybe just the fact of like how much harder we have to work to go, like, to get speed on a wave, to get, like, if you can learn how to do 3 turns on a 1-foot wave, you doing 3 turns on a chest high wave is the easiest thing in the world. Not easy, but it just translates. It makes it so much easier, kind of the same theory as Kelly. I mean, you look at him and he did the same thing. So that might be my only guess would be that. Like, we have such bad waves. And at least you guys had, like, decent waves. And
or just enough to hurt us.
Just enough to, like, you didn't have to work as hard. Like, to where when we get up on a wave, we have to work. And that's going to be my only guess. Yeah. But, I mean, you guys also had insane surfers from here, too. Yeah. I mean, Kyle Busey's, Rips. Like, there's a bunch of good surfers. And so, I don't know. I think it was more of the just... I'll definitely give my dad a lot of credit. Yeah. I think he's the one who kind of brought it together and also showed all the kids, you know, showed the world, or showed the East Coast these kids. Like, you know, they'd be with us. So, like, everyone would meet them. That person would meet that person. My dad would be able to get them a little rep deal from the surf shop. You know, Luke, here you go. You got on Rip Curl. Micah, I get you on Billabong, like, flow deal. And then all that stuff just kind of translates. And you surround yourself around a bunch of good surfers and you put yourself in good opportunities. Like, that's kind of the best way to get better. Yeah. So I think that had a lot to do with it. Like, also, like, the shop, my dad getting them the rep deals. Mm-hmm. And that, you know, next thing you know, you're at a little autograph signing back when those were cool, and Taj Burrow would be in town. You know, like, all those, like, weird little things. Like, I don't know. I feel like that stuff kind of can translate and push people. So, yeah, I'm going to give my dad a lot of credit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the East Coast is obviously, you probably feel a lot of support from that. But say you got in, like, a crazy clip or did well in a contest internationally or at Pipe, How much support did you feel then coming from South Carolina?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely all, I mean, like I said, thanks to South Carolina, I wouldn't have a surf career. Just so grateful for everyone. And I think the one time it really showed was, this is not something that I don't like to brag about too much, but when I did the Instagram thing against Dane Reynolds back in the day, that was something that I signed up for it, just because it was a cool opportunity, and I actually happened to surf lowers a couple weeks before they announced it, and I got these clips. I'm like, well, I mean, what's the worst that could happen? Like, I'll submit them. So I submitted them, and I won like the first 2 heats, and that was cool, and then kind of began catching fire, like, okay, and then like, I think everyone began to realize my next heat was against Dane Reynolds. And then, so that came out, and I remember I was at Lowers that same day when the day started to do all the voting. And I think I was, winning in the morning, by a long shot. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, whatever. So I ended up going out surfing at Lowers, and funny enough, sitting out there, and Paul Fisher, the DJ, paddles up to me, and he's all like, you know what's going on right now? I'm like, no, what are you talking about? He's like, dude, Instagram's going crazy. I'm like, for what? He's like, you. I'm like, what do you mean? I've been sitting out here. I haven't posted anything. He's like, dude, it's crazy. And I go in, my phone's almost dead because it was just going nuts. Then I get home later that night, and I get all these notifications, screenshots. They're like, dude, Dane created an Instagram, and Jamie Foxx gave you a shout out, and all this stuff. And I think I called my brother. I'm like, what's going on? He goes, dude, this is crazy. I'm like, what? He's like, our town's freaking out. He's like, I texted so-and-so, and that's how you got the Jamie Foxx shout out. I had a friend, a pro skater kid that knew Jaden Smith, Will Smith's son, happened to see him that day and took his phone and was like, hey, post this. So it's just crazy, but what it really blew my mind is I finally got on my phone to look later that night. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is chaos, because all these, a lot of people from South Carolina, I think Kelly got in some argument with someone from South Carolina on his post, because Kelly posted about Dane, so everyone was all like, oh, Kelly, you're not a real East Coaster. And I was just I felt bad at the time, because and I still feel bad, because I don't think it really represented me.
Yeah.
I felt and it kind of backfired. It didn't backfire. It was a great thing that happened for my surf career, no doubt. But it was kind of weird, because did I really want to be known as the Instagram kid? Not really. No, I wanted to get recognized for surfing, not who gave me a shout out. But when you just I'm not gonna tell them to stop. So I was just so it kept going. I remember, someone Kelly got in an argument with someone on my post or whatnot. All this stuff happened, but you could tell just everything was from South Carolina. I was like, wow, I have so much support from South Carolina. It's incredible. That would have never happened without South Carolina. Like I said, obviously I was doing my job of I would post something hey, if you guys are, available, go vote for me at this, whatever. But then, like I said, I was surfing all day. I was not really a part of it. And then honestly, my phone was going too crazy that there was nothing I could even really do. It was definitely wild. It was pretty crazy to I was the beginning of social media.
Yeah.
And I remember, so anyways, the day goes by, Dane beats me in the last hour or whatnot. But it was it was crazy. I was the most exhausted I've ever been in a day, and I didn't do anything. It was just constant, oh my God, this is wild. The next day I get a call from Bob Hurley saying hey, thank you so much. That's the most traffic we've ever gotten on our website. Dude, what you did was amazing. I'm like, well, I didn't really do anything, but thank you, South Carolina. So it was just such a weird thing that happened, but it was the start of I feel it was a big part of how influential Instagram and social media is, and that was kind of the beginning. But it was funny, the people, they've tried to do it over and over again, but it hasn't caught, because now it's I don't know. That was back when Instagram wasn't even that big. So I got 10K followers before 10K was cool.
Yeah.
And I was it was just weird. But then it kind of backfired in a sense of I'd win a contest, or I'd get a photo on Stab, and Stab would be Jamie Foxx's best friend Cam. I'm okay, the joke's over. Come on, this was 3 years ago. But I get it. It's something good to write. It's so I obviously I went with it, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, like I kind of want to be known for something else than this, but you know, I'll take it. You know, it's given me a path, and it is what it is. But yeah, I think that was a big showing of how supportive South Carolina is. I even saw Kelly the next day at Lowers. I talked to him because I'm like, yo, dude, like I want to apologize. Like, I'm sorry for. He goes, yeah, man, you got some crazy fans. I'm like, hey, I mean, you like I don't know what to tell you. I just so you know, like I'm apologizing. Like I'm not meaning. If anyone say anything mean to you, like you know what. Me and you were cool, but he was fine. He gets it.
He has crazy fans.
Yeah, so it was fun. Like, he was funny about it, but like it was pretty like just weird. It happened in a day. Yeah. I mean, I was getting messages from people like from Surfing Mag and all these people, and just like saying like your career is now forever changed. Like, get ready. I'm like, this is weird. Like,
that's super funny. Hearing your side of it.
Obviously a lot of people won't hear that side of it. People just think like I'm just hey, post this. Like I said, I was surfing at Lowers, and but now like I'm very grateful for it, and it was so nice of everyone to do what they did. I had friends I haven't seen in forever, and they're texting everyone they know, and it was just cool. Like it just showed like, man, like I'm not doing this just for myself. I'm doing it for a lot of people, and then that obviously it became more obvious to me. But I would do contests and I would do good, and people would message me and like all that stuff. It just like was trickled down. I'm like, man, if it wasn't for South Carolina, it wasn't for the East Coast too. Like it's just, that's what's cool about the East Coast and anywhere around here is like we all actually do support each other, and we want each other to do well. And sometimes California, it seems like it's a game of cutthroat, like because there's so many good surfers, and it's just like it's easy to get lost. But where if like in the East Coast, like everyone kind of pushes everyone to do good. So very lucky and very thankful for sure. I remember it like it was yesterday because Stab posted a photo of me at Pipe, and they said Jamie Foxx's friend. I'm like, okay, whatever,
Recently?
No, this was 5-6 years ago or something. I'm like, okay, like when's this gonna end? And then it finally ended after the Vulcan Pipe Pro in Hawaii. Yeah, I finally got into it after like 2 years of sitting on the beach because it used to be such a hard contest to get into if you weren't highly rated, because it was a low star event. But they let in, X amount of Hawaiians no matter what. So like it was a 3,000, but you had to be rated top 100 to get into the event. So could never get in. Finally got in one year. I'm like, okay, like finally I get to do this contest. This is one I've always wanted to do. I would surf pipe, take off on closeouts. I would never get any good waves. And it was just like frustrating for sure, but always liked it. Always enjoyed being out there. And then, so my first heat out there, I somehow lucked into, I think I got like a 6 on the left, and then I was on kind of like near back door, and I've never went right out there, so I know nothing. See this wave come in, and I actually watch someone kind of like paddle for it, but I could tell they're too deep for sure. Like they're not going to catch it. I'm like, well, he paddled for it. It might be a good one. So I'm like, I'll just go. So I go and I get this wave, and I come at, like, it's one of the better waves I've ever gotten at back door. I was like, whoa, that was crazy, but I don't know what that looked like from the beach. Was that because you watch out there and people will get a 4 for a pocket, or like a 2 for a pocket ride. I'm like, that'd be the best 2-point ride of my life. But anyway, so I got that way. I'm like, that felt pretty crazy. And I'm paddling back out. And like 9.6, 3 judges gave you a 10. I'm like, oh my God. Paddling back out, same thing happens again. I think a Ritz is like looking at this wave, and I'm like, I've been paddling for maybe 45 seconds. Like I've watched the replay before, and this happened in a 2-minute, 3-minute span. And I paddle back out, he paddles for a wave, he doesn't really get it, I turn around and go, then I get a 10, like back to back. And they're like, that was the 10. Like I got the 10, I was like, wow, that was insane. I came in, they're like, oh my, like how did you know pipe this well, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't. Like, that was a freak accident. I got lucky, but I will say I did learn a lot in that first heat. I'm like, okay, you sit there. This wave is good. This wave is bad. You can't do that when it's crowded. Yeah. You gotta be respectful. You gotta be out of everyone's way. And when somehow it does happen that it is your turn, you gotta be ready and you gotta go. And most of the time that wave's gonna suck because no one went on it. So then the next heat, just everything kind of it just made sense to me out there. It was a perfect wave, and the waves are firing this year too, so that definitely helped. And ended up making the final. Every heat I had like 8s, and then that was like the turning point. I went from Jamie Foxx's friend to East Coast pipeline specialist. I'm like, I like that name a lot better. Like Jamie Foxx, that's really cool, but I'd way rather be known as a surfer, you know? And so, yeah, that was like the cool transition of like what I was known for. And I guess now I would say I'm known for like barrel riding, which is, I'll take that. You know, that's way cooler than Jamie Foxx's friend, which that's cool too, but I'm not Jamie Foxx's friend, so.
Yeah,
but,
watching that event, I was glued because I felt that like so proud.
Yeah, no, it was so cool. And same thing, my phone was going crazy. Yeah. Everyone from South Carolina, and like, it was just, that was obvious. That was the best.
But then that's respected on every level.
I mean, it gave me respect every time I surfed out there. And now everyone's always watching you. You know, when you're out at Pipe or in Hawaii, like, it's so important to be respectful, tread lightly, and just like, you know, just do your thing, but show that like you'll go, and you know, you're just want to, you know, stay out of people's way, but also you want to be a part of it too. But yeah, I did get respect. I had all the locals come up to me and like say that was amazing and that was awesome. So yeah, it was such a big step in my career, and it was the best week of my life for sure. It was awesome.
Do you think you're like, because you said you don't like surfing in crowds, but you probably more so than like a lot of pros, you avoid it.
Yeah. But
is that how you were able to get some of those waves?
Yeah, I think, once, you know, time went by, obviously I would surf Pipe, but I would always sit somewhere that people really wouldn't be near me.
Yeah.
And I'd go on really bad waves, and occasionally you'd see one that'd be really good, but you'd miss it or whatnot. But I always felt, obviously, out of place and a little timid, and it's scary, and like, but yeah, after that contest, I obviously got a little bit of confidence, and so slowly just kind of began working my way around the lineup. Everyone began to know me. I'd be able to talk to all the locals, very respectful. And so I felt more comfortable just in that sense, like just in the sense of like, okay, everyone knows me. Everyone knows if I'm paddling for a wave, I'm capable. I'm not going to pull back. Like they're all, that all goes into consideration when you're surfing out there. Like much as you don't think so, like, they all know you. They all know, like, they watch you the whole time when, you know, they don't want that wave. They're watching, see what everyone else is doing, seeing who's being respectful, who's not. So yeah, I built a little bit of confidence in it, but I would still sit far away from people.
Yeah.
But the difference was that if people saw me paddling, they would respect it. And, you know, maybe not the locals. Like if they want the wave, that's always their wave. Like especially in Hawaii, no doubt. Anywhere, like, you know, we all like to travel and we all like to surf, but I do believe in that. Not localism, like get beat up, but like, you know, you give respect and you will get it in return 90% of the time. And I think that's super important. But so it was cool to like get that respect, and it paid off and begin to get more and more waves. And that's kind of how I got my relationship with Pipeline, thanks to the Vulcan Pipe Pro. So, because before that, like I can honestly say I never made like a good wave out there until my heat. Like, and I've surfed out there for 4 or 5 years. Dang. So like that goes to show like how difficult it is, and it's only getting more difficult. It's more crowded, and so many good surfers. So so you've become like, is that inherently built in you to go in heavy surf, or is it more because you had something to prove and then you built that over time? Yeah, I definitely don't think it's you know, I don't think it was in me from the beginning. I think it's something that I kind of brought upon myself. I'd probably say one of my clearest memories of like getting the feel of like big waves and the difference was at Pipe. I was surfing out there and it was pretty bad. Like not many people were out. This was before Pipe Pro. And I remember getting a real pipe wave and didn't make it. But I remember like kind of rolling in and being inside of like a giant barrel, and like I have a photo of it. But that feeling of like that size of a barrel, I mean, it's a whole different world of surfing. I mean, it is completely different than anything you've ever felt. And once that happened, and I got pounded, but I was up in 5-10 seconds, not even, you know, I came right up, I'm all good. I think that was kind of what triggered it. And so after that, like, don't get me wrong, I'm still scared all the time. Yeah. And if anything, I'm getting more scared. Older I'm getting, I'm like, definitely want to have a family and stuff like that. So I'm not as reckless as I once was. So I'm more calculated now, which is a good thing. But then at times I kind of wish I could turn it off. But it's just, that's what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then too, I'm not gonna lie, it feels good for people to tell you good job or that was gnarly or like that's all stuff that kind of keeps you going. And so yeah, I think it was just a little bit of everything, but also I think the main thing was that feeling of like being inside of a big barrel was like, it's just so weird. Like, I mean, you're in there with you're not tucked down. You got your arms spread out because you're about to fall, and you're in this giant barrel, and it's just like, I don't know, it's just a weird feeling. Like, it's just, can't really, I don't know, it's a trip. So yeah, I think it was just that feeling, and then I did like to prove, like, okay, I want to be I want to be a big wave surfer. I like big waves, but I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm a big wave surfer. Yeah. It's, I just like to do that style of surfing, and I like to get barreled. And then that feeling of coming in after a long day in big waves is so rewarding. Like, even on the occasion I've done, the big outer reef stuff, like paddle into big waves on Tinnos, and I haven't done it like a ton, but I'm good friends with Grant Twiggy Baker and my buddy Mason. They've taken me out a handful of times, and it's terrifying. It's scary. But then when you come in, you're like, oh, that's cool. Like, that felt nice. Yeah. But it's terrifying. It's just so scary. And then too, when we go out, they have the inflation vest, the pool, and they give me like the impact one, just like the life jacket. I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. You guys do this. I don't do this. Let me get that. And still haven't got one. But I kind of like that too, that you got to work your way to that, You got to show that you'll push it, that you need that. So, but.
Do you have plans this winter to be in Hawaii or?
Yeah, I'll probably head over there in the next couple of weeks or so. I love it over there. It is a second home. It's great. It's crowded now, but maybe there's not as many contests there anymore, and so it might be pretty uncrowded this year. So fingers crossed. But at the end of the day, it's always gonna be crowded. But as long as you show respect, wait your turn, you'll get some of the waves that you want. And there's always days that there's people aren't surfing, especially pipe. Like, can surf if it ain't perfect. That's the best days. You go out there and you can pick whatever wave you want. When it's perfect, it'll be fine. I've been there the last couple of years, and the waves will be perfect. 10-foot perfect pipeline. I'll be sitting on the beach with my buddies. I'm like, Cam, why aren't you surfing? I go, I know I'm not gonna get the best set wave out there. That's fine. I'd rather sit right here and watch and not be in anyone's way. And I don't need to prove to myself anymore that I can surf out there. I've done it. I'm like, might as well. And honestly, it's more dangerous when it's smaller. So I kind of try to just stay away from people and crowds. Kind of just like to do my own thing.
Yeah. I know this story's also been talked about, but the wave you got on your dad's board, was that, just a full circle moment? Yeah,
it was, that goes right up there with the best week of my life. It was probably the best day of my life. It was just it's very surreal, but I surfed the night before out at Pipe on a 6'4". It was giant. And was just taking waves right on the head. And I actually watched Mark Healy get his wave of the winter that year. I don't think he won, but he was real pretty. Rode an 8.0 orange board, sunset. I'm paddling for my life, trying to not get hit. And he's just cruising on this 8.0, just about to just stand tall. I'm like, what am I doing on this thing? Yeah. I'm like, that looks so fun. But then, anyway, so I get pounded and I go in, and that night I think I'm leaving the next day to fly back home. Yeah. And my dad shaped me this board for my 19th birthday, and it's been sitting in Hawaii for 3-4 years. And I'm like, you know what? My dad, he would love to just see a photo of me on a wave at Pipe. It didn't matter. It was just it'd be kind of funny, whatever. So, I waxed it up and I went down there. I didn't even check the waves. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go out there. I knew it wasn't pumping. I knew it was a couple breaking far outs. I'm like, okay, that's all I need. If I can just roll into one, and get a pocket ride, sweet. And then another thing that goes along with this story is I'm not sure how accurate it may be, but the whole ride a big board at Pipe thing, I find that's a thing that you work your way up to. That's a respect thing. That's that's like towing in at Chopu. You want to go there and you want to paddle before. You want to show that you're willing to do it to get that, the treatment.
Yeah.
Same with the big boards at Pipe. Like, my opinion, and I could be wrong and people could disagree, but I think, you need to show your worth on the inside and, you know, get pounded. And like, it's cool. Like the people that ride the big boards are like these gnarly local legends. Like, Gavin Beshin's out there on his 7.6. You got Kalani Chapman on his 8.0. You got Mark Healy. You got all these Flynn Novak. You got all these people riding these big boards. Like, but they deserve it. I mean, those guys have gotten the best waves in the world. I'm not saying that it's easier, but it's pretty nice to be able to paddle. And so, but anyway, so I was like, you know what? Like, I'll never take any waves from anybody, but I'd like to be out there, and if I luck into one, cool.
Yeah.
And so I was out there, and I actually got one wave before that wave, and I got a little pocket ride, and I got spit out, and I was like, perfect. Hopefully someone got it. I'm good. Whatever. But I ended up paddling back out. And I'm sitting out there, and I'm with my buddy Eli Olson, who's a local, and we're like talking about the big board. He's like, yeah, man, if I was goofy foot, I would definitely ride a bigger board out here. There's no reason not to. It's just hard to like on a bigger board backside's a little bit different. But so I'm like, yeah, it seems pretty cool. My last wave I caught, like it wasn't even breaking. He's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, you could like catch waves that look like this. And this wave like kind of pops up. I'm like, yeah. And I kind of begin to paddle. He's like, dude, go. I'm like, okay. I'm like, yeah, sure. There's no one around me. I paddle, and sure enough, the wave doesn't even look like it's going to break, but I just catch it. I'm like, oh my God, this is so nice. But then I stand up and I look down and I'm like, oh no, this will close out. This is not good. And so, but anyways, I'm like, well, I'm here now. I'm committed. I'm just going to do it. And I just remember dropping into the first section, like pulling up and like elevator drop. And I'm like, oh man, I do not know how good this board is. I don't know what's about to happen. So I like free fall, and then I come up next. My feet are like way up on the nose. I can just tell the board ain't maneuvering. And then like the next section comes in. I'm like, okay, wow, this is kind of nuts. Like I need to get out of here and doggy door it. I'm like, I can't doggy door this board. This board ain't gonna turn. Like, no offense, Dad, but like it wasn't made to turn. I don't even know what it was made for. It was a weird board. I asked him to make me a board for like Waimea or like an outer reef, but he shaped me an 8.0, which is too small for that. But then it kind of is too big for pipe, so I never knew when I was going to ride. But so here I am in this barrel. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, well, you know what? Might as well just pull into the closeout. Like, I can't doggy door it and make it even worse. Like, because time was just moving slow in there. It was wild. Like, just with the big boards, everything was so drawn out, like slow-mo. And then I remember the last part, like, went into the sandbar. And it just got all crystal clear blue water. I'm like, no way. I remember my foot was all the way up. I could see the Perfection logo. I'm like, there's no way. This is. But also, surfing's a weird thing, especially barrel riding, because you get a barrel, you look at a clip, and you're like, that looked horrible. And you see another barrel, you're like, that was the same wave. You never know what it looks like. Anyway, then I finally come out. I'm like, man, that was cool. But like, how cool was it? I hear everyone cheering. I'm like, man, someone must have got a good one behind me. I turn around, I'm like, there's no one behind me. And then like I jump off the board and I see people begin like running to the water's edge. I'm like looking around. I go in and like this filmer comes up to me with the camera in my face. I'm like, was it good? He's like, it was insane. Wait, whatever. I'm like, no, like there's no way. Like this is not happening. And so he does like a little interview to try to get my true reaction. I still like wasn't even like clicked in because I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Had like Balaram come up to me and was like, bro, that was sick. I was like, oh man, this is wild. Like my dad is gonna freak out. And I'm still thinking like, oh, it was a fun one. Mm-hmm. And like another person came to me, this is crazy, and finally my buddy was shooting. He's like, come here. I go and we look at him like, oh wow. He goes, yeah. And so I ended up calling my dad. I called my dad and I'm like, Dad, I just got the wave of my life on your board. He's like, that's cool, man. I've been looking at this house you were thinking about getting, and I'm like, well, no. Like, Dad, I'm like, I got the wave of my life. Well, I haven't seen anything. I'm like, you don't get it, dude. He's like, no, but anyways, Cam, this guy wants you to see the house. And I'm just like, I got mad. I like hung up the phone. I was like, I'll send you a video. And I sent him a video. And he called me back just bawling his eyes out, just crying. He's like, man, don't you dare ride that board again. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, that's my board. I'm like, it says happy birthday to Cam, Dad. But he's like, please don't break it. Please bring it home. I'm like, whatever. If that's what you want, that's what you get. But so yeah, the last wave ever ridden on that board was that board. Now it's hanging up at the shop.
Sick.
But yeah, that was so surreal. And once again, it goes full circle. South Carolina just was backing me so hard, and it was just like so cool. Like definitely another very big highlight of my career. But also, I think it was more just the father-son bonding than anything. It was just like that was it. That was all the hard work that he put in with me. I mean, that was the drives up and down the coast. That was the probably paying thousands of dollars to keep my dream alive and all that stuff. That all paid off for him right there. And like that was just like, all right, cool. At least I got to do something for him.
Yeah.
But he also did a lot for me. So it was a win for everybody.
He can talk about it to everyone that comes in the shop.
Oh yeah. In there. My dad's funny when it comes to that type of stuff. He is very proud and I'm very grateful for it. But I mean, poor kids will walk in there from Ohio that know nothing about surfing. Yeah. And I'll be in the surf shop. My dad's like, "You see Cam? You want a poster signed by Cam?" I'm like, "Dad, these kids don't know who I am." They're like, "Sure." Like, this is weird, but it's funny though.
This episode is brought to you by Hurriali, serving nourishing treats for the mind, body, and soul. If you haven't heard the recent podcast, give it a listen. Learn the story of how they built Hurriali Gardens. It's a great story, and I did not know half of it. It's definitely our spot before or after a surf for a fresh juice, strong coffee, or fire a breakfast burrito. And my new favorite is their healthy take on a banh mi. Hurriali Gardens, 401 Hugie Street, or their new location, Hurriali Riverland in James Island at 2016 Wapu Drive.
Marshwear. Clothing inspired by the need for versatility and style. For those wave chasing, flats pulling, field loving, campfire gatherers. For the doers, adventurers, and unconventional. For those who live by the highs and lows of the tides. For those in pursuit of good times.
I mean, you are a really good competitive surfer. Like, obviously that...
On days.
It got you to where you are to a certain point, but when does that switch over to more like making films and just surfing?
Yeah. Competing for me is... It's a lot of fun. I've always loved it. Obviously, when I was younger, I really liked it. But then, I don't know, when I began, I did well in a few contests here and there on the QS. I've gotten close to qualifying a handful of times. And the one thing I learned, though, I did my best when the waves are good. And it was always funny because, I talked to people from here or from wherever. Like, "Oh, Cam, like, it looks like the waves are going to be bad for this contest. You're going to crush it." I'm like, "Bro, I haven't done good in a contest when the waves are this big since I was like 8 years old." But I get it. It comes with the territory. But so anyway, so I competed for a while doing the QS, trying to qualify, and also trying my best to like stay relevant in the free surf world and go on trips and things like that and chase swells. But it's so hard. It's so hard and it's very expensive, and you're always like kind of stressed, like, well, should I go do this or should I go do that, whatever. And kind of probably this last year, or like 2 years ago, when they finally introduced Snapper to the schedule, like I was like, okay, cool. Finally a contest at a really good wave, like, because in all honesty, the QS, like the Primes or the Challenger Series, the waves are pretty rough. Like it takes a lot for them to be good, and on top of it being good, there's 112 competitors, which means a lot of heats, which means you need about 4 days of good waves out of 10. You go anywhere in the world, that's almost impossible. But so anyways, but I remember I was in Huntington about to head to Australia to go practice for Snapper. And I looked on my phone, or somehow, some way, Tahiti looked like it was going to be really good. And I've always loved Tahiti. I've had good relationships there. But I was supposed to go to Australia and practice, for Snapper. And I remember I was like, okay, what do I do? Like, it looks really fun. Tahiti's incredible. There probably won't be anybody there because I had all these theories, I actually saw Peter Mell in the parking lot of Huntington. I'm like, Peter, what do I do? I'm like, do I go over to Snapper and practice for this event, or do I go to Tahiti and get to surf the swell? He's like, Cam, how much longer are you going to be able to, just go to Tahiti when the waves are good? Like, you're comparing possibly getting the wave of your life to going to surf with 135 people at Snapper Rock to go do something that you already know how to do, man. You know how to go right. You know how to do 5 snaps on a wave, and the wave comes to you. Like, you're like, man, these are moments that, like, you don't want to give up. You don't want to. Those are moments that you're always going to regret when you look back at it. I'm like, say no more, Peter. So I booked a ticket. I went to Tahiti. Had one of the funnest trips of my life. Got to bring a friend of mine that's a really good surfer, and he got to, like, kind of come with me, and I got to. He's been before, but it was cool because, like, I've made a lot of good relationships. We had the jet ski, we had everything all dialed, and just had 4 days of just insane waves and not many people out. Last day of the trip, I ended up, like, getting this, like, beautiful, perfect wave, and I get this photo. That was just, like, one of the best photos I've ever gotten, and it was, like, a spread in Surfer's Journal. And I showed up to Snapper 2 days before my heat, surfed at a wave way down the beach, and then ended up doing the best I did. I made, like, quarters or the round before quarters or something.
Yeah.
And then got to surf against Kelly for my first time ever. I beat him at firing Snapper, and I got barreled behind the rocks, and it just kind of, like, woke me up a little bit. I'm like, I don't know, like, it's kind of more fun to just kind of wing it, and, like, got to go on that free surf trip, and, like, that was what's fun. And me, when I was happy, that's when I would do my best. And so it's just, like, a weird transition. It was, like, kind of a wake-up call in a way, like, okay, Cam, like, kind of be careful with this competing thing, because, like, it's so, like, it can be taken away from you so fast. Like, I mean, heats last 25 minutes, and you traveled across the world for them, and they can go wrong at any second. So I went through with that year. All the rest of my heats, I had very bad luck with waves. Would need to score at the end of the heat, not get it by point something. It was just one of those years, and it was tough. Hard pill to swallow. Missed out on a lot of good, like, free surf trips, and I was kind of like, okay, let's kind of maybe rethink a little bit, just for more mental health purposes. Like, am I having fun? Am I enjoying this? Yes, I love hanging out with my friends. I love going to these places, but, like, I don't know. I don't know if I didn't become a professional surfer, but, like, I was given this gift of a professional surfer, and I want to enjoy it. I want to have fun. I want to, experience, like, I want to travel. I want to do all this stuff without having something in the back of my mind, like, oh, I need to be at Snapper tomorrow, like, whatnot. So kind of, like, slowly faded away from competing. Like, I'm still going to compete here and there, and did a few events, but so me and my filmer spoke a bunch, my buddy Lane, and we've done projects in the past, but in all honesty, a lot of our projects were just kind of thrown together. It was, I went on a trip with Vistla, I went on a trip with this person, we got all the footage, they're all filmed on different frame rates and all this stuff, and it, it looks good. He does a great job of cleaning all that up, but it's like, it's like, oh, here's a clip from Outer Banks. Oh, here's a clip from Tahiti. And it's just like, it wasn't smooth. And then so I was like, I want to kind of, I want to do this year. I want to go chase swells. I want to go and get on those surf trips and have those sessions with my friends. And, like, I want to enjoy it, because if surfing doesn't work out for me in the next couple of years, and I'm still on the QS, and I've, blown through a lot of money, and, things might not go my way, like, it's no promise. It doesn't matter how good you are. You could not qualify, and it doesn't matter if you're not that, you could still, like, it can go both ways, like, it's just a matter of luck and momentum, and, it's like everyone in that contest, in the Challenger Series, you give them a set wave, they can get a 9 every day of the week. They're all so good. So it's like, it's tough. It's really hard. And some people might, like, there might be way better surfers, but, they can lose. They can lose so fast. I shouldn't beat Kelly at Snapper. No way. I've surfed. That was my first time ever surfing there. But it just, like, and I'm not bragging about that. I am showing that, like, that's how harsh competing can be.
Yeah.
So anyways, I talked to Lane, and I said, man, let's work on a real film, and let's go on trips for the film, and that's it. And I won't have anything in the back of my mind saying that, like, I got to be here at this date, and he said, let's do it. And so it's been going on for about a year and a half now. And it actually started at a contest. I brought him with me to Portugal.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've actually made a film, free surfing at Portugal during an event. And I did a film called 22, and we literally filmed it all in like 5 days in Portugal. So I'm like, okay, this is a good place to start. It's like perfect air sections everywhere. So I brought him over there. We had a good trip, 2 weeks of like a bunch of air stuff mostly. It wasn't like perfect waves. And then, it just kind of slowly began to trickle down. When you don't have contest breathing down your neck, you're on your computer looking at every single forecast. And I went to Tahiti again. We went down to Baja. We went to Salina Cruz, surfed all those right points. That was something cool that like probably no one's ever really seen of me, is surfing right points. Like mostly if you think of me, you think of a left and you think of maybe an air, maybe a little barrel, but like, so I'm excited to see that. And then kind of the big trip, the one that tied it all together, was we went and spent about a little over a month in Indo. And that was like my first time ever really doing that. Yeah. I've been over there with Vissla for catalog stuff and surf trips, and we've scored good waves, but like that's a time frame. We have this amount of days to shoot the product, and we got to get out of there. But this was just like, hey, let's go over there and let's just post up, and that's what we did. And we stayed like kind of at the like near Lance's right and Lance's left, but we stayed on the land. We didn't do the boat trip, and then we would take like little boats to all the other waves, and that was my first real like surf trip. I felt like I was wow. So this is what it's like, we were taking this little local boat all the way to Macaronis and Greenbush, and we got to score Greenbush, get a couple waves there. We surfed Macaronis by ourselves, like 6 foot firing, and finally I was getting those moments with my buddy. I was with my buddy Mason, and then we made so many good friends there, and like it was just like so cool and like so much fun. We're having a blast, and then when we get home we look at all the footage and it just translates. It's like I can actually see that I'm having fun. Like I can see that like I'm not treating this as a job anymore, and I'm treating it as just like, let's have fun, because you never know how long professional surfing will last. Like I'm very grateful for every opportunity I'm ever given, but like it's still just it's a hobby, and I'm very lucky to have amazing sponsors that support me. But it was cool to see myself actually having fun. Even like my dad called me one day when he saw some footage. He's like, I can actually tell you're having fun, which is a cool thing. So I'm excited for the film to come out just in that aspect. And then the other thing is like it actually flows and it has a storyline to it, and like it's just like, it would be so nice to be able to do that, and everything's filmed at the same frame rate, and like coloring should all be good. Like it's very exciting, but it's so stressful, I will say. It's like, it's not just free surf. It was just like, that was so hard to decide, where to go. Because not like, you got to think about like, okay, are those waves good for filming? Are you allowed to film there? Are there locals that will yell at you? Are there like, is there ways to get, the filmer to the beach? Like I'm having to swim lanes, 100-pound pelican through 6 foot macaronis on a wave storm, like all that stuff. Yeah. Like it's exciting, but it's goes back to a job every once in a while, and you got to make sure everyone's happy. And like it was cool to be able to kind of have all the creative control, and also just like making the calls. Like I didn't have someone telling me what to do, to where before is like, Vissla catalog shoots or any other trips, it's like there's a plan, we stick to it, it's great. But like, so now all that's taken away, it's all on me, and it's like, it's exciting, it's fun, but you're always scared you're gonna blow it. And kind of all ended, we ended up going to Desert Point for the last couple of days, just absolutely scored it. Like,
is that when you knew you had something?
Yeah, we always knew we had a movie. But it was more like, okay, I have something that we can go throw premieres down the East Coast and have a good time. Then after Indo, it was like, okay, we got something, I think, pretty special, like from what I can tell, but it's always hard to judge yourself. But it's more of like, I'm definitely proud of it. More of the sense of that it seems like my surfing has kind of matured as far as like a lot more turns, which is nice. Like I've always kind of not been too good at them. And I think that helps with just surfing really good waves too. Then I'm loving my equipment also, like Channel Islands. Every board I get just doesn't miss. And it's just like, I don't know. I just hope it translates as well as I think it does, but it's been very exciting and very fun, and obviously frustrating at times. Like, you know, it's, you go somewhere and you spend all this money to go somewhere, and like, you got to perform. Like, you know, if you're having a session, you keep falling on these perfect air sections, you're just like, oh no, like getting frustrated. You're like, I spent so much money to come here. Like, I need to start landing stuff. But yeah, luckily over there, the waves are so good. And
surf media and surf films are literally like that's like what gets me through those. So I'm so glad you put the time in to make a film that can last, and kids can get so inspired.
My main goal is I want, you know, the surf dad to be able to come home from work, have the kids hanging out and play this movie. And we have a good fun soundtrack, have pretty and we have a little storyline. We did some like acting. We got some people to like kind of act as like me and Lane 40 years down the road. Like, it's pretty funny. Have like a skit at the beginning, nothing too crazy, but like that's my main goal. Is like, I love all the stuff out, like all the hardcore stuff, and it'll get you pumped up and it'll get you wanting to rip, but like a lot of that's not accessible to a lot of us, especially here in South Carolina. So like, I'd rather someone sit and watch and be like, that looks fun. I want to go, you know, I want to save up. I want to go on one of those surf trips. I want to go like travel across the channel on this little boat with that's a little local Indonesian dude, like, and find that perfect wave. Like, I kind of want to, that's the story I want to tell. Obviously that's hard nowadays. I mean, it's hard to get away from everyone. Like, it's very hard to find a secret wave. And if you do find a secret wave, there's probably a local that is not happy that you're there. So yeah, I just hope that translates, and
then you're gonna premiere it, which I think is gonna be so fun. Yeah,
that's like, I mean, that's what I grew up doing. You know, my dad would take us to all the surf movie premieres, and you know, I was sponsored by Billabong back in the day, and they would have premiere. You know, it was always something, and all the kids would get free stuff, and like, it was just, you know, it was a fun night that you and all your friends could hang out. I just want to try to kind of recreate that. But people are doing it now more than ever, I think, which is cool. Kolohe is doing a great job at it. It's fun to watch that. Like, and I don't know, it seems like it's kind of going full circle. So it's cool. I'm excited. Just hope everything works out. And if any, I don't care if people like the movie. I just want someone to have a good time. You know,
that's awesome.
So, and it's more just like saying thanks to the East Coast and everyone that has helped supported me. Like I said, I just hope they have a good time and they have a night that they can forget about everything and just see all their old friends and have a good time.
That's awesome. Yep. And then we should have an epic premiere in Charleston.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna need you guys' help.
That'll be so fun.
Yeah. I did one at what was it? Not the Music Farm. What was that one cool venue right down the road? The Carolina Surf Film Fest.
Where were they having it?
It's all like overgrown now.
Oh yeah, the Brickyard. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, that was when they did it there. It was actually pretty cool.
Yeah,
I did one of my films there, and it was pretty sick. But it was like a film festival, so it was like kind of easy to. But yeah, I'm excited. Like I said, I came out with something during COVID, but obviously not having premiere during COVID. And then since I've kind of just been sitting on clips, and that's been one of the hardest things to do. Is like, it's really hard for a free surfer because you want to try to save stuff for, you know, the film, but then also you gotta, you know, make your sponsors happy, give them content, post stuff on Instagram. Like,
are you just like, I promise?
You have no. I mean, I have hard drives ready for like. I'll literally, once I'm done with the film, I'm just gonna go through all my clips, label them all, like Visla wearing these board shorts and CI I'm riding this board. I'm just gonna give them all of it. Just like, please, like, I'm sorry it took so long, but. Yeah, I mean, they get it, but at the same time, it is hard because, like, we all understand. People have a very small attention span now. Yeah, so everything's on your phone, and it's like just like so.
But
weird.
The anticipation, like, I'm so.
It is
stoked.
cool. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah.
But that was the question I was definitely going to ask you. Saving clips.
Yeah, it's hard. I definitely. I'm not too worried about it as some people are.
Yeah.
If I got a cool clip, I don't mind to use it twice. And if there was a clip that got posted 2 years ago, I'll probably still put it in there because at the end of the day, I'm not trying to, you know, show you something no one's seen before. I'm trying to just make something that people can enjoy watching and have a good time. Yeah. Right. So if that causes I have to put in something that someone's seen, sorry. I mean, if that makes you that mad, then, you know, you don't have to watch it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, but also I do try my best. Like, there definitely are a few that I've definitely wanted to press post.
Yeah. Is there East Coast stuff in the family?
Yeah, a little bit. Tried, but that was one of the hardest ones. Is like, you know, you want to stay relevant during hurricane season and all that. It's like, so you kind of got to post stuff, and like that's your job. You know, like Vista expects me to, you know, they want me at all the East Coast swells and all that, and so it's like kind of like the one wave I got a couple weeks ago. I just posted it. I was like, and we might put it in there, we might not, but I don't know. I just want everyone to enjoy it. That might cause for someone to see something twice, but I can tell you that I don't remember anything. I mean, if someone posts something, it's very rare that I'm like, hey, you posted that like to you. I'm like, oh, that's cool. But
yeah. On the topic of inspiring kids in the next generation, and this is, and you've kind of, I've heard it in this whole conversation, but what do you say to those kids that it could be anywhere in the world that they're not in the epicenter of surfing and they have talent?
Yeah.
That, like, what's your advice?
Yeah, this is always a tricky question. You know, it's like you want to sell the dream. You know, you want to tell a kid, you want to be that inspirational speaker saying, you got this, you follow your dreams, you do this. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to sell a kid that, you know, anyone can do it. It's a gift, and I think the more you treat surfing as a gift and like just have fun, you got to let those things come to you. It's like I said, like I wasn't homeschooled. My dad was always very like, hey, this is what I want. Like my dad was funny though. My dad says, you guys have to make all A's and B's. Okay. I never made a C. And so, you know, he was our inspiration somewhat. Like, yep, boys, I never made a C, and you aren't too. If you do, you aren't surfing, you know? So anyways, one day we're going through our attic and we find his old report cards. Well, he wasn't lying to us. He never made a C, but he never made an A or a B either. He was making D's or F's. So it's funny. We're like, Dad, I thought you said you never made a C. He goes, yeah, I did. Made D's and F's. I didn't say them, but it was just one of those things. He wanted us, like, because I think he was, you know, I mean, we're from South Carolina. When you think of South Carolina, you don't think professional surfing. And I think it's important that people do realize that and, like, you know, always have backup plans, always find other stuff you love to do. I think my dad and my family, we did a good job at that when I was growing up. I mean, weekends wasn't all surfing. Weekends were riding dirt bikes. Weekends were fishing, skateboarding, you know, whatever. And then also doing work around the house, not too much. And like I said, I was very lucky. Yeah. Very lucky. I was raised amazing and had a very good life. So yeah, it's hard. Like, obviously if kids are good, go for it. But it's like also just don't let that get in the way of why you're doing it. 'Cause that's where I found myself. I found myself recently like, okay, am I doing this because I love it, or am I doing it because I'm competing? And it was like one of those things, like I kind of wanted to do it for my family. I wanted to do it for South Carolina, like qualify and all that. And then like I kind of forgot, like, what about me? And so that's kind of where I'm at now, is like I want to make myself happy. And it was like, had a couple people ask me, oh, why, like I miss rooting for you. Why haven't you been competing? And I like try not to be mean, but I'm like, well, I mean, if you care, I'm the happiest I've ever been this year. Like I've had a really good year. Life's really good. Yeah. Like, oh no, that's cool. And like, but I get it. Like I do understand it. It is hard for people to get it. Like it's one of the only sports that like, if you're not competing, you can still be a professional. That's changing a little bit though. I mean, you look at golf. There's YouTube golfers that are making so much money. Yeah. Not that I'm a YouTuber, but yeah. So I don't know. I obviously like. My thing is with surfing is like, if it comes to you as a career, be thankful, enjoy it, but also use surfing as a way to meet people. Use surfing as a way to make impacts on other people's life. When you go to these countries and these different places, like, you know, look around and like, I don't know, just take it all in. Like we're all very lucky, and like surfing, in my opinion, is just, you know, it's a way of life, and not to be cheesy, but it's like, I don't know. It's such a hard question, honestly.
No, that was cool.
I just want to be like honest, and I want to be transparent, but I don't want to be harsh. it's just one of those things. It's like, let it come to you. You know, you can't chase surfing too much. There's a certain extent, and you'll know. You know, and I think I was always very lucky. But yeah, so I don't know.
I really appreciate you breaking it down like
that. It's hard. It's really hard. And I did an article in a magazine recently in Grand Strand, some Grand Strand magazine, and they asked me the same question, and I kind of had a harsh answer in that same way. I'm not trying to be harsh. I'm just trying to be real and like, I don't know, like, but people liked it. I'm sure there's a couple people that looked at it like, oh, like my kid, if they want to chase a dream, in which I agree with. Well, 100%.
You have to. I've always
just remember there's more to life. There's more to life than just surfing. There's more to life than like it's you know, there's no retirement plan on surfing. You know, it's like you got to handle all that stuff yourself, and there's no for sure thing. So just enjoy it, have fun.
I was talking to our Tyson Miller, our mutual friend, and he said when y'all are together, y'all don't even talk about surfing.
Yeah, I try my best not to. Or I do good at not, but like I can tell my friends sometimes like definitely don't want to. And it's true. It's like, it's one of those things, it's like kind of the same reason like when I grew up, like my friends in high school, like me and Tyson obviously hung out a bunch. When I was home, me, him, and our buddy Addison, we were kind of like the surf crew. So that was a lot of fun, but yeah, like especially nowadays, like people will come up to me and try to talk to me about surfing, and I'm just like, come on, man, you know, it's like, I mean, it's the same thing. It's like when you see a famous person in the airport or whatever, like you don't want to go into, oh, what was it like filming that movie? But also, I do understand. It's an interesting career, and it is fun to talk about, but also I just don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be talking about myself. Like I care way more about what other people are doing. It's more interesting to me. But it's interesting to them know about me, so I respect it, and so it's just finding a balance. But
then I thought that was cool, is like it helped you have so many other interests, which I think you were trying to say as well, is like it makes you a more well-rounded person as you're growing up, to not just be obsessed with just surfing. Well,
I think that's the thing too, is like sometimes kids will be so dead set on surfing, and there'll be surfers that are doing pretty well, but then you see them have an interview, or you know, and they just may not talk too well to the camera, or so it's like that's where that comes into play. It's like, you know, yes, you're really good and all that, but it's like, what happens next type thing. But not to say I don't have life figured out whatsoever, you know. I'm just like, I'm still having fun. I'm still just very lucky, but I've definitely tried to make sure that, you know, there's always something to fall back on, or always, you know, just treat people how you want to be treated, and that's all you can do.
So is fishing what's next?
I mean, maybe. I definitely love it. I've definitely considered guiding, getting my captain's license and things like that. But it's definitely, it'd be frustrating for sure. I'd love to be able to do it for fun, but I don't know. We'll see. Definitely we'll try to stay in the surf world, in the industry throughout and who knows, hopefully I'm a professional surfer for 10 more years or whatever it may be. But definitely somewhere along the water of some sort. And fishing guiding would be pretty fun. But also I can imagine how frustrating that must be to be pushing someone around, they miss a shot, or somebody
especially on a fly
on that, and then most of the time your clients probably know more or think they know more than you, and I can see me getting pretty frustrated, but it seems like an awesome job. I have a lot of friends that are guides, and they say, it's amazing. It's fun. I mean, every job, you're going to have your things that make you mad, but it all matters of like seeing that, because I feel like I do more guiding than I do fishing, even nowadays. Like when I have friends come into town, or like when I am shallow water fishing, you'd be surprised how no one knows how to pole a boat. And lucky for them, because then they just get to sit up at the nose. But I like to pole just as much as I like to fish, because I feel like when someone catches that fish, you caught that fish with them. I have my buddies that come down, and I'll pole them the whole time. And it is fun. It's really fun. I think it all matter who's on the bow of the boat, though.
Do you have your best Charleston fishing story?
Yes, I do have. I have my best, and I have like my funniest too. I had one, probably my best one was like my first ever flood tide fishing with my buddy Gunner. And like, I don't know, just seeing that for the first time was so cool, and like pulling across the flat. And the best part was like when someone said, "Oh, there's Italian redfish." You've never seen that before? I mean, you're blind. You're sitting there like, where? But anyways, I remember I caught my first fish in the grass, like, and I probably casted that thing like 8 times, just could not figure it out. My buddy Gunner's like, that never happens. Like, you've literally landed on his tail like 3 times and he hasn't cared. But anyways, that was really cool. And then one time I was taking someone fishing, and we caught one on spin, and you know, it was a great day already. And we're going, and we see this fish just back out of the water. I'm like, all right, this is the one. Get the fly rod. You know, they've never caught one on fly. And you know, so I get up on the polling platform and begin pushing. We're like getting close, like to make a shot, and I'm like, why aren't I moving? Like, I'm in a guinea. Like, I should be able to just go right over this. I looked down, I forgot to trim the motor up. And the fish just spooks the second I try to like trim the motor up. That was pretty classic, and definitely that one hurt though.
Yeah, you
like,
still think about that one.
Oh yeah, that one hurt me. I don't know why, but no, every time, like, definitely the flood tide fishing is like my favorite. Like, it's just so cool. It's always usually going to be a beautiful evening, and it's just like so peaceful. I think that's the one I love fly fishing and that like sight fishing so much, is because like your mind just shuts off. I mean, I don't think about surfing. I can promise you that. I like. It's just like, it's a way of like kind of just like a little bit of therapy, and you don't even realize you're doing it. Like, you'll fish for 4 hours. You're like, well, what just happened? As long as you're sight fishing. Like, yeah. I can't say I can sit and like throw at a bank for 2 hours without seeing anything. So like, I question myself, do I like fishing or do I like hunting? So, but yeah. It is funny, but yeah, I definitely.
Is that a type of fishing, like if you're going to Florida too?
Yeah. It's insane. Like, go through the mangroves, and like, I grew up bass fishing, so like skipping under, you know, trees and all that was always fun. But like in Florida, it's a whole different world. You're skipping under trees, and there'll be a freaking, you know, 30-inch snook or a tarpon sitting there, and like it's exhilarating. But
so when you're heading to Florida, you're probably more excited to go fishing.
I'm not supposed to say that.
Gotcha.
But no, I do love fishing. But the waves up there are fun too. I mean, there's not a better day to be able to go surf and then go sight fishing. But yeah, I think it was just fishing came in as, like I said, it was just a way to get away from surfing for a little bit, and the process of learning something new. Like, always spin fish, and then, like I said, like, you can throw 100 casts, and like, if you get lucky, like, yeah, you gotta be good enough to set the hook. But when you're sight fishing, like, you're always learning, whether it's wind and spin or fly. So like, spin took a couple years to really dial it in, and then when me and my friend really got like throwing sight casting with spin, we were just like, should we try this fly fishing thing? Worst mistake we ever made, financially, emotionally, everything. But yeah, so but it was fun, and like, I mean, we started from scratch. You know, we both never did it. Both are just back in the mangroves trying to figure it out, and now I consider us decent anglers. Like, you know, we'll make the shot every once in a while. Yeah. So, but it's cool. He's definitely way better than me. But yeah, it was cool just to learn. And every time you do it, you're learning something new. You're learning a different cast, or and then like studying the fish, studying their habits, like tides, winds, all that. It's very similar to surfing in that sense. Like, it's like weather is so important. I don't pay much attention to the whole pressure system. Some people really do, but yeah, it's cool. I mean, at the end of the day, you're just outside, which is nice.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. I was going to save it for the very end, but okay. Where does the South Carolina state champ at Folly Beach rank in your all-time career highlights?
Yeah, no, it's up there. I mean, that weekend was something we look forward to all year long. You know, we had our ESA district, and we booked the big house, and like, that was always exciting. Okay, like, what house did we get this year? We'd have some big house on the creek, and yeah, it was just one of those events like that. Like I said, that was the confidence boosting event. You know, you go there, and like, if you can win that, okay, I'm the best in South Carolina. Like, you really thought you were something, and yeah, it's just like but it was awesome because like, we brought our community with your guys' community. It was like the one time a year we all came together. We all had fun. The banquets were always the best time. You know, you're a little grom running around getting free stuff, and like, it was just, I don't know, it was cool, and it was our biggest, you know, surf competition in South Carolina. So like, it had a lot of weight on it. And I think my favorite thing about all those contests, in which they still happen today, but like back then it was so involved. I mean, your dad was having a heat at 2:00. You had a heat at 4. Your uncle, like everyone surfed in the contest. Didn't matter how old they are. You had the boogie board division. Like everyone was just, there having a good time.
Yeah.
And definitely competitive at times for sure. I always remember, when my dad was signing me up for the open men's, there'd be some upset older guys for sure. But yeah, it was just, I don't know, man, those contests were so fun.
Yeah.
I swear there's always ways for them too somehow. Also, I was probably about this big, so it always felt good.
We always do.
Thank you again, Cam Richards, for coming on the podcast. What an absolute honor. Remember to keep a lookout for us to post upcoming premiere dates for his new film. Thanks for listening.